Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Rejects and Friends Rapid Fire 2025. We have some more amazing runs coming up for you today, starting with Brandino doing a Diddy Kong Racing run right now. This is going to be the DS version of Diddy Kong Racing, which is sort of somewhat of a remaster, I guess you could say. Even though it plays very similarly to the original game. This event benefits the Planned Parenthood Federation of America, which does so many wonderful things in our country. The Planned Parenthood states that your health is our highest priority and that we believe that your body is your own. And we're always happy to help out this cause, which means a lot to so many of us in the community. In addition to that, we still have an incentive open for Wicked Midna's Zelda ornaments, which I know I'll definitely be putting an entry into the raffle for because they are absolutely beautiful. And I think that's just about all I have to say for right now. So without any further ado, I'll turn it over to Brandino. Oh, and I forgot to mention that H is here.
You got a friend! Hey team, I am Hey It's H, and I'll be hosting alongside Faye2 for this one. I will be handing over later on, but just wanted to say hello now. We'll hand over to Brandino.
Hello, good morning everyone. Welcome to Diddy Kong Racing for the DS. I'm so excited to be here today playing this game for you all. And before I start, we had a bid war going on to select our character, and now I want to ask, who won that bid war?
It was WizPig, I believe.
Oh, thank God. Alright, so, real quick for those who are unfamiliar, if you take a look at the character select screen here, you'll notice there's some characters that were not in the original Diddy Kong Racing, and two of those characters are Taj the Elephant and WizPig, characters who were not playable in the original game. Taj and WizPig collectively make up the fastest character in the game. They have identical stats, and they're very, very useful for RTA categories, so they're fun to switch between. But I just want to say that WizPig is cooler, so thank God we chose him. And before I start, I want to introduce my amazing commentator, Leah, if you want to say hi.
Hello. I am somewhat of a... I'm pretty good at Diddy Kong Racing DS, I think. I'm currently the world record holder for this category and a bunch of, as well as any percent and a bunch of the time trials as well. And I'm just here to help out Brandino, who has been doing a lot of work for this game, getting it into a bunch of these different marathons, providing insight into tech and anything else that we think is cool. And yeah, that's my intro done. Let's get this.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here. Leah is downplaying how good she is at Diddy Kong Racing. She is the time trial champion of both games. And I think without further ado, we should just get going here in Ancient Lake. So I'm going to count us down so we can start the run. We're going to go ahead in 3, 2, 1, time to race. Alright, so start boosts in this game. I have to use the touchscreen for all of them. If you look at the bottom screen, I am revving a tire right now with my hands, physically, to make the character fast in-game. Second, you'll notice that I am drifting maybe 90 degrees to my actual facing angle, and this is an important speed tech. Leah, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so Taj and WizPig can do a special form of drifting known as B drifting, or, well, many different names, sometimes just simply drifting, in which, as the name might suggest, you hold down the B button while you're drifting, which for some reason makes you faster. And this is actually very, very fast, even faster than zipper boosts in a lot of cases. So this is by far the fastest way to take most corners in this game, and also situations where you can do them in straightaways as well. And in the later tracks, in a lot of cases, it's going to actually be replacing zippers entirely. One example that we can do in this track is actually skipping the final zipper and instead just drifting all the way to the end, which is faster by
until you hit a wall.
Yeah, don't do that. But drifting is invaluable, makes car a very, very interesting vehicle to play. And there's kind of a finesse to it as well. It's really hard to describe, but you some angles are better than others. You really want to ideally be at about a 90-degree angle in your drift.
And then another bit of speed tech that whenever we hit zippers, I'm actually letting go of the accelerator completely because you actually get a faster boost by not holding the accelerator over a zipper. This is tech that actually carries over from the N64 version. So we didn't know if it was real or not in N64. Like, we're not sure if it's real tech, but if it's in the DS version, I guess it's something that they wanted you to know. It even has a different sound.
Yeah, it's definitely intentional. There's a different sound effect for it in DS, and in N64 version, they actually tell you about where to go the A button after, I believe, the first Bluey race on N64. So, yeah.
Oh, I never read the text. That's my fault.
Blue.
And something I figure we should clear up because we're going to be making a lot of comparisons to the N64 version today. Something I should clear up is that if you're familiar with that game, you are probably, if you're familiar with the speedrun, familiar with A-tapping. That is not a thing in DKRDS. A-tapping is pretty much entirely a result of a weird physics quirk in 64 where the A button applies both acceleration and traction, and you want to minimize the effect of the traction that slows you down. In DS, that's not the case. You want to hold it pretty much all the time unless you're in a boost, and you don't want to re-grab it until your boost is completely finished.
And some other things that don't carry over from N64, I should say. One thing about N64 is that when the car is airborne, it can absolutely soar. But in DS, if the car is airborne, that's actually pretty troublesome to us. We don't want that to be the case.
Yeah, airtime, you pretty much lose all control of your car, and you can't really do anything, and it kind of sucks. And it can also mess up drifts pretty severely.
If you hear a noise on my end, that's me throwing my stylus after I rev up my start boost because I have no choice but to quickly grab the DS. For plane, we have to rev up a propeller for this. And now you'll notice that plane is probably the least technical vehicle in DS, whereas N64 it is probably the most technical vehicle, which is a feat because that game is full of technical vehicles.
Yes, in 64. If you watch any plane gameplay, you will see them barrel rolling like crazy, because barrel rolling in 64 is pretty much a plane's way of creating its own boosts. It is incredibly useful and revolutionizes the vehicle. Unfortunately, they removed it in DS, so it's a bit of a shame, because plane doesn't have too much to write home about. It's mostly a game of lines and knowing what the optimal boost patterns are. One thing about plane is that Wizpig is not actually the best character for this. He's the best character overall in RTA runs, but for plane you actually would prefer to use TT if you could. He has the same speed as Wizpig in plane, but his handling is much sharper. With Wizpig, it's kind of like you're turning with training weights on with Wizpig.
Yeah, it's like there's delay on your turning. Wizpig moves a full half a second after you actually hold the angle. It feels like it's not easy to deal with. But the thing is that Wizpig's car is so busted, and there's so many more car tracks that car is your best. That Wizpig's your best bet for any RTA tracks that have to do car more than any other things. And this includes any percent as well, because car is the default vehicle essentially.
Yeah, car is the default vehicle for, or if I backpedal a bit, of the 20 main tracks that are featured in any percent, each one you play twice. Of those 20 tracks, 12 of them are car by default, so that is a lot of car. And
so this is a really cool bit of drifting right here. This is a very unusual route to take in this level, because in N64 you would take there's a boost coming out of that tunnel. Not this tunnel, but the next one. And instead of taking that boost, we're going to start a drift extremely early, and we're going to kind of just shimmy on past not like that. We're going to shimmy on past that zipper, if I did it correctly, which you saw in the first lap. We're going to go for it again. But that's a difficult drift. A lot of these drifts are very difficult to make because you have no idea if there's anything to your right sometimes, or left, depending on where the camera goes. So I'm kind of just feeling this level out, knowing where the obstacles are, and trying my best to avoid them.
Yeah, you really have to know the tracks inside out when you're doing a lot of drifts, and not just drifts as well. When we get into the hovercraft races later on, it's also going to become relevant there. There are a few more advanced drift strats you can do in that level as well. You can carry the drift across the lap transition, which is really tight, but it does save more time. Pretty much like the longer you can hold a drift, the more time it will save, because starting up a drift is quite slow. And in addition, there's also a pretty much pass-only strat where you can actually carry the drift over the bridge as well. But yeah, as I mentioned, TAS only. I've done it like one time ever. And that does in fact mean you can technically play Jungle Falls in a single drift that you start on lap 1, but that is not happening by a human for a long time.
Yeah, and there's actually a loan level later on. I don't do it, but there is a human viable single lap drift, a single track drift that you can do, where essentially after you start your first drift, you should be able to carry that for all 3 laps and never let go of it. But that is an extremely hard thing to do, and we'll get to that when we get it. Here we are on Everfrost Peak. This is one of the best plane tracks in the game. It's just rippingly fast, and there's a lot of really cool boosting, especially 2 double chain boosts, and then this long section at the end where you really need to chain together a lot of these boosts in order to go fastest. And while we're flying around, do we have any donations or anything, or updates that we want to give?
We do not have any donations at this moment, but it is a great time to remind everyone that Wicked Midna's beautiful ornaments are still available. You can donate a minimum of $15 to enter into that raffle and potentially win one of these beautiful pieces of art. I
actually got ornaments from Wicked Midna, one of the other rafts. Like, I won the raffle, and they're amazing ornaments. I just want to say they're some of my favorite. I got Majora's Mask related ornaments, and they're all extremely pretty. So you guys are missing out if you don't donate for those, to be honest.
Indeed. I think we do have a $25 donation from Anonymous from the previous run, who donated towards WizPig. But,
Well, Anonymous knows what they're looking for, because WizPig is definitely the GOAT. Now, this track, Walrus Cove, there are some very difficult drifts here, like that one to hit that zipper. That might look easy, but angling yourself out of the tunnel in just such a way that you don't smack into any walls and also hit the zipper is so much harder than it looks.
Yeah, as an alternative, if you miss that zipper, you can carry the drift like really far across the bridge and then cancel the drift with the second zipper on the bridge. It is almost as fast, it's a bit more awkward though, and generally not preferred. Something about Everfrost Peak quickly that I actually forgot to mention is that Everfrost Peak does have an out of bounds, and I would argue it's the easiest out of bounds that you can do in this category, although it doesn't save a whole lot, so it's a bit too risky to really go for.
Yeah, that's so. This kind of carries over from N64 in that plane is really the only vehicle capable of doing any out of bounds, because once you're out of bounds, there's no floor, so car and hover are kind of out. But plane. If plane gets out of bounds, plane can just fly to the individual checkpoints in the level to prevent it from thinking you're going backwards, and then plane is capable of completing entire tracks without being on the track. That carries over to DS. In Everfrost Peak, if you set up your plane in such a way that you become parallel to the ground and smack into a wall, you'll go out of bounds. But it's a very difficult one to pull off.
Yeah,
and like Leah said, doesn't save a lot of time relative to the amount the effort that you have to put in.
Yeah, you can go under 130 in Everfrost Peak without going out of bounds, and the fastest you can get with a really, really fast clip is like only like 7 or 8 seconds faster than that, so it's not really worth it. But yeah, Walrus Cove is a cool track, literally. It is a personal one of my favorites. I definitely like Walrus Cove a lot more in DS than I do in N64.
Yeah, because there's no bouncy water.
Yeah, that and like the high-level drift strats for Walrus Cove are pure bliss, in my opinion. I love the drift strat. You do.
Speaking of high-level drift strat, there's one that I'm not doing here, but ideally you can do an entire drift downhill to start this level, Frosty Village, but maintaining your drift while you're airborne is actually very difficult. And also, this is a path you wouldn't be taking in N64, but because of the changed traction on WizPig's car, we're actually able to chain 2 boosts together through this forest, because he isn't slowed down in the snow. which is huge. Yeah, Whizpig and Taj basically allow for this power sliding and car to exist at all because they have such poor handling. So that's kind of a funny thing that exists. Their handling is so bad it makes them faster. Like, I don't know. This doesn't make sense to me.
It almost sounds like Wave Race 64 from what I've heard. If we have a certain Wave Race 64 enjoyer in chat, we might.
Shout out to Azalea Akari.
And Andy Panther.
Yeah, and Andy Panther. Andy Panther's probably not here. He hates the DS version. I just want to shout out while we're here. We have a wonderful community in Diddy Kong Racing. If you've ever wanted to run the N64 game, or maybe even the DS game, although I know you probably want to run the N64 game, we have a fantastic community. Everybody's always time trialing, and we actually have a website specifically for time trials in Diddy Kong Racing called dkr64.com. And on this website, we do every week there's a player of the week. Like, we assess all the runs that have been submitted that week, and we name a player of the week, and we have a players of the month and player of the year too. Of which I believe, Leah, you made player of the year last year. Am I wrong?
I've won player of the year twice, yes, for 22 and 23.
So yeah, Leia's gonna downplay it, but she's the best person at both versions of Diddy Kong Racing, which is a feat because these are two completely different games.
I'm pretty alright.
Yeah, she'll downplay it, but she's good.
I'm kind of okay.
So, Snowball Valley is a very short track, but this drifting at the end is one of my favorite drifts because of how tight you can take it.
Yeah, Snowball Valley in both games is it's kind of a chaotic track, really. Like, anything can happen here, kind of. You can get thrown in all kinds of ways. It's also a really, really short track, so it's ultimately not too bad. It's definitely a lot more consistent in DS. Thanks to being a bit slower paced. The main constraint in DS is the tunnel exit coming out of this icy tunnel here, right here. Yeah,
and I do a little sharp turn there by holding B and R at the same time so that he kind of turns right quickly, so I'm set up to move.
Yeah, there are a whole bunch of ways you can do that, kind of no right or wrong or even consistent way. What I like to do is I like to hold the B button so I get slow my car down and also get a bit more grip on the ground, because as we mentioned earlier, airtime's bad, so any way you can minimize that really helps for that.
Alright, so here's everybody's favorite vehicle. I have to start this up by blowing into the microphone. So, hover.
Use, the good old compressed air strats, because apparently every American owns a can of compressed air. I'm British, by the way. You can tell.
Yeah, for a while I went, oh my god, I cannot believe I made the jump onto the pirate ship. That whale is extremely thin in DS. They made it, like, really hard to get onto the whale's back, so actually making it up onto the ship is nice.
And then basically the hover attack is, maybe I should backpedal and first explain that a lot of people really, really dislike the hovercraft in both versions of DKR, and for good reason, to be honest, because casually there's kind of no indication of how you're supposed to control it, but trust me when I say this, that in speedrunning, in both games, it is kind of the go vehicle once you know what you're doing.
It is so much fun because it takes a lot of work to get going, but once you understand it, it's a really sick vehicle.
Yes, so in DS, what we're generally doing, the gist of it is that hopping is a lot better for turning than trying to turn on the ground. And once we take a boost, which doesn't even have to strictly be a zipper or a balloon boost, we can even build speed from downward slopes. Once you get any kind of boost or higher speed, you can hop to maintain that. And there is a rhythm to it. Any time, technically, that you spend in the water or on ground will decrease that speed, but if you are good at maintaining your hopping rhythm, then you will go very, very fast. And actually, unfortunately, hover's a bit underrepresented. Out of the 24 tracks in this run, it's only in 4 of them, but it's actually available in every track if you choose to play the
if you wanted to do all hover tracks, it's every track in the game, and it's the only vehicle that exists in that fashion.
Yes,
because there are some levels that are hover only.
Yeah, I'd say a lot of the hover on land tracks are actually really, really fun. surprisingly.
Also, I just want to point out, so we're playing in time trial mode, which means that it's just us, like, pure drifting, no items. This is just a more fun way to play because the drifting, in my opinion, is more fun than having boost balloons, which are extra items that help you boost. Because the strats for boost balloons are very different in levels that have a lot of them versus levels that like this that don't really, so it's just a lot of really technical driving. And because we're in time trial, you guys will see my time trial ghost on all these tracks. My character's name is Knuckles, so it's Diddy Kong Racing DS and Knuckles. This is what's happening here.
Yeah, that's Knuckles.
Yeah, it's Knuckles. They just put only Knuckles in the game. I swear I'm telling the truth. Oh, and something fun, too. So this game has a lot of car customization that does not exist in the original. You'll notice that my car is different from, like, the usual yellow of, like, the Diddy Kong Racing cars, and that's because you can actually change... You can modify your car, plane, and, hover, so that they're, like, they're your own colors and stuff. And you can draw, like, little things that appear on the track later on. You can draw your own emblem, like Mario Kart DS. Like, this game loves being on the DS. Is really the point I'm trying to make. This game, I've never seen a game so thrilled to be a DS game in my life. Except maybe Phantom Hourglass.
I was actually just gonna ask if you're able to just scream into the mic like Pippi does during the Phantom Hourglass speedruns.
I think so. I did, however, there is... So, one of the worst missions in this game happens in story mode. Taj wants you to go around the island and blow out torches, and you blow out torches by literally approaching them and, like, blowing into the microphone. And I used to do that with compressed air. But, honestly, it was faster to stop using compressed air because it was very hard to hold the DS with one hand and drive with one hand while holding compressed air in the other. So, I don't recommend using compressed air for this game. I have tried.
Is that having to hold the compressed air can, like, between your legs, which is uncomfortable?
Yes. There's no good way to do it. I just want to point out, I'm going for a single lap drift here, and I've mostly made it.
Oh yes, this is the other... When we were in Jungle Falls earlier, we mentioned that there's another track you can do in a single drift that's actually humanly viable, and it's this one. And there are two people who've done it. One of them's me. It is the fastest way by far. It saves maybe like a quarter of a second per lap when you do it perfectly. But yeah, it is very, very tight line. You kind of go to the left of the zipper in the cave, and then maintain the line well enough so that you don't hit the wall at the end of the cave. It's really, really weird, but it is very fast.
Greenwood Village. Now this is a difficult level. This level you have to play the don't hit the wall challenge because the walls are very easy to smack into here. These tunnels are very oddly shaped, and Wizpig just doesn't turn the way that you want him to through some of them. Like this one right here is a pretty difficult tunnel to not hit the wall on. And then we got this really cool drift at the end of the level. This, like, really, really long sequence drift. Nice.
Yeah, Greenwood Village is actually... It's actually one of the tracks that features the least drifts, and it's a lot of just how well you can just handle the car as is in sections like this. And especially the next turn coming up. Going through these two logs right here, you swing out really wide a lot of the time. It also doesn't...
Oh my god!
A little, like, you're going over a little bump that entire time, so you also lose control of the car at a certain point.
So, and also you'll notice that sometimes I hit the wall while drifting, and it's kind of okay. Sometimes you don't lose enough speed from hitting the wall, and it actually helps you reset your angle, so you'll see that later in this track called Star City, but sometimes I kind of do want to hit the wall while drifting just because I need the wall to readjust the car. I have no way of getting the car otherwise. Alright. No major bonks. I just want to point out, the next track we're going to is, Windmill Plains, which is going to be the longest track in the game. One of the more basic plane movement tracks. I took a sip of my coffee and I wasn't there to spin the thing. Oh my god. Oops. Alright, yeah, so, sometimes the bottom screen hates you and doesn't want to register your spinning, even though you're spinning with all your might. That happens to me a lot. Also, I guess if you see me close to the time trial, just know that means we're playing really well, because that means we're close to my actual, like, individual level speedrun time. And while we're flying around, do you have any updates or anything you want to give?
I do have a couple things I'd like to say here. A little while back, you heard me mention that we surpassed the Sub-Zero 2023 donation total, and you can see on our screen now that we have a new donation goal up, which would be the total that was raised in Rapid Fire RAF 2024, which is $4,500, and we are only $1,100 away from hitting that goal already. So thank you all so much for your generosity today and yesterday. And then, in addition to that, my time as host is going to be coming to a close pretty soon.
No.
So, I'm gonna hand it over to the wonderful Hey It's H, who is going to walk you through the rest of this amazing run, as well as Cloud's Tears of the Kingdom run, I believe. Last thing I just wanted to mention is make sure you get your donations in for Wicked Midna's art prizes. And yeah, thanks for having me, everybody. This has been so much fun. And,
Thank you so much, and especially for the amazing remix of Hot Top Volcano.
I tried my best.
So good.
But yeah, thank you everyone, and hopefully I'll see you next RAF. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Faisal and Tunic. So lovely to have you. As Faye2 said, my name is Hey Is H, but you can call me H. I will not keep you away from the speedrun for too long. Just as a reminder, you can use !donate in the chat, and make sure you sign up for the raffle for Wicked Midna's ornaments if you would like them. But I will hand it back to you, Brandino.
Thank you. Here we are in Boulder Canyon. So this is a track that is very famous from the original because it is known for its dynamic soundtrack. This level has 3 songs that overlap depending on what part of the level you're in. On DS, for one reason or another, they could not program the level that way so that the music actually changed dynamically. So instead, they kind of like approximate how long each section takes, and the music shifts whenever it feels like it. So it's kind of, the music's a little bit busted in the DS version, unfortunately, because you don't get this level as it was originally presented to you. But you might notice that there are no giant spinning logs in the water. Something that's really nice about DS is that in Time Trial, they remove level hazards, so you can actually just focus straight up on the driving and not have to worry about smacking into a giant log mid-IL, which would not be fun. Oh, nice! Okay, going for a double zipper there. That's a relatively hard one to make. The zippers are so much smaller than they look in terms of the hitbox. And one thing. Oh, go ahead.
About the music in this track is that in the adventure mode in DS, the silver coin challenges from N64 are replaced with balloon touch challenges, so kind of weird touchscreen auto scrollers that not a lot of people like. But the music actually syncs up pretty much perfectly with that, as the camera is scrolling through the level. I'm not sure if that was intentional, but...
I wanted to ring the bell for Raph, I just felt like it.
And while we're on the subject of this being in Time Trial, the N64 equivalent of this category is all trophy races. I heard the person who has the world record in that is pretty cool. And that is played in the actual balloon race mode, typically. It's kind of the opposite case of DS, where playing in Time Trial is a little bit more inconvenient in N64, but conversely, playing in balloon race is a little more inconvenient in DS. So that's how our categories have ended up the way they are. There is a balloon race category though for DS still, just less people play it.
Okay, so Haunted Woods, short level, extremely fun. 2 very intense drifting sections, one through this forest and one in the fountain area.
And there are kind of like 2 strategies you can do for that final drift there. You can break the drift as soon as you touch the zipper, or you can alternatively carry the drift part of the way into the tunnel, which is the tiniest bit faster, but ultimately there's not too much of a difference. For this turn here, you really want to get quite far to the right before you turn around that tree, so you can kind of cut it as tight as possible, keeping into account Wizpig's remarkably poor handling.
I love this particular drift into the tunnel right here. This one is really cool. The drifts are... It is funny watching other people react to the drifts, because you get so used to them, and people are like, why can't you see the track? What are you doing? And I'm like, oh, you know, you get used to it. That was a good Haunted Woods.
Yeah. Really,
Very
any time
solid.
around a minute flat is pretty good in this track.
102, nice.
And yeah, you kind of do have to know the tracks inside and out to be able to play them well in DS. One thing a thing about the drifts really compared to 64, like in 64 the drifts are very much like an adjustment tool or like a turning tool, but in DS a drift is a commitment and it's a major speed strap, or maybe possibly some might argue the only speed strap.
You have hover hops too.
Yeah, I mean for cars specifically, some might argue it's the only speed trap, but it's a really, really major one. But yeah, the main thing is that it's a big commitment to do a drift. You can't just start and stop them on the fly.
We mentioned earlier, but you very much have to start your drift when you're basically 90 degrees to the level. Like, that's the way you're gonna do it faster.
Like that. That's a perfect angle.
Yeah, you can after you play the game enough, you can really feel the difference between, like, slight angle variations and how they affect your drift. And, that zipper always hates me. I don't know why me and that zipper can't get along, but we can't. I've tried everything.
The
and so...
Dark Moon Caverns is that, like, the entire track is a slope, pretty much. Like...
Yeah, it's the bumpiest level.
Pretty much every polygon is at some kind of vertical angle. And cars do not like air.
Yahoo! I love these, the sonic loops. One thing I want to point out, so, we have been doing there's 4 tracks per trophy race, and we're on the second to last trophy race. Some of you are thinking, but wait, aren't the space levels the end of it? Well, in Diddy Kong Racing DS, they added 4 new tracks to the game. And those tracks are based around the Donkey Kong Island. And they're exclusive to DS, they're very much their own thing. So we get actually an extra set of tracks here. Which I think is really cool. And, Dark Moon Caverns also just some of the best music in the game. One of the best individual music tracks. Also, you notice that sometimes we do a drift into the end of the level, and the AI has no idea what to do once it crashes.
Oh yeah, he was having a little hard time there. Just need some time to himself.
Star City.
Space Dust Alley. Don't forget Space Dust Alley.
Oh yeah, I went down, didn't I? Alright, no worries, we'll get back to it. So Star City is a really difficult car track. Leah knows that when I was recently trying to get my time trial on this level, it drove me insane for like a week. Maybe 2 weeks. I don't know. The time is very blurry. This is just such a difficult car track with a lot going on, particularly in this ending city section. So there's a big drift we want to do here. And you need to end the drift at just the right way and angle so that you can do this. Swing around the corner and hit that zipper. It's so much harder than it looks. And we've got another big drift right here. So we're going to try to go this drift all the way back into the mouth of the colorful tunnel. And this is a chance where the wall actually, hitting the wall actually sets me up in the perfect way to enter the tunnel again. Oh, and this is cheating in DS version? They added a lower route here, so that you can just go under the bridge.
Oh yeah, a lower route, and it's actually faster in all cases. So, whereas in 64 you really want to stay on that bridge, in DS you just fly off of it as soon as you can.
Yep. Which is great, because I hate driving on that bridge.
A nice... Oh, actually, accidentally caught that left wall bit there, and that messed up the angle. But a nice thing about like drifts like this, the thing you can do, is you can let off the B button actually, and that will cause you to swing out wide, and default make an adjustment, it will mean that you don't get like the nice speed, but it can be used as an emergency adjustment or as a way to make some strats easier.
Alright, let's see if we can hit this zipper on the last... Yes! It's so tough. I really can't get over how hard it is to hit that zipper correctly, coming out of a drift. Yeah, okay, we'll go up to Space Dust now. So... These tracks, these space tracks, have 2 plane levels in them, both of which are pretty difficult for Taj and Wizpig because of their handling. We call them Taj Pig sometimes, just as a way to collectively talk about both characters, since they essentially are the same character. But these drifts...
I admit.
They are the same. And some of these later plane tracks just have you taking some really tight tunnels. There's a big tunnel in this level here at the end that is very hard to navigate at full speed, so I'm actually going to be missing a zipper on purpose, just so that I can line up better with Wizpig, because he is like attracted to the walls like a magnet in this level for some reason.
Yes, trying to cut inside that pillar with the zipper is very, very hard, and usually results in some kind of thing going wrong.
This is a level where TT is absolutely the best character for it in plane, because TT's handling means that a lot of these tight sections aren't as tight at all, thank God. But Wizpig has so much of a harder time trying to maneuver. Oh, and I guess we mentioned that...
there is also an out-of-bounds in this track. There are quite a few out-of-bounds in this run, but none of them are really, like, super safe to do or really worth it, considering how difficult they are and how little time they save. But this track has one, and this is actually, I believe, the only case where an out-of-bounds was found in the track in DS before it was found in N64, of the tracks that have out-of-bounds in both versions.
Yeah, so, recently, I don't know, was it last year? A runner called Mikhail came out of nowhere. He had never played the game in any capacity that we were aware of, but he showed up and he showed us that he figured out out-of-bounds for every single plane track that did not have an out-of-bounds. So now every plane track has an out-of-bounds. Which is absurd. Wait, I'm sorry, what was the caveat?
Yeah, I think the only ones that don't have one now are Treasure Caves and Wimmel Plains.
But that's still, there are a lot of plane tracks.
Yeah, Wimmel Plains is balloon race only and kind of TAS only, but aside from that, every other plane track now has an out-of-bounds. And Space Dust Alley was, he did happen to pick up the world record in Space Dust Alley, but Space Dust Alley was also a much older one. I think it was found back in 2016 on DS.
I just want to say, this song...
goes, the Space Dust Alley out-of-bounds was found in TAS, I think after 2016, and it was only done RTA in 2022. So, yeah, of the tracks that have out-of-bounds in both games, Space Dust Alley is the only one where humans did it later in N64.
So I want to say too, there's a brand new music track in this in the DS version of this level, and it is one of the best tracks in the game. It is some of the best music made. Oh my God! How did I hit that zipper? So there's 2 triple zippers right at the end of this level, and they're both very hard to hit consistently because of the fact that you need to be turning constantly while you do it, and turning is Wizpig's enemy in plane. So in order to not bonk in this air vent here, I'm letting go of the A button before he gets in, so that we lose just enough speed and altitude that I can immediately zip back upwards when he passes like that big. There's like a big hump, sorta. All right, triple zipper. Nice. Oh my gosh, and we didn't. Oh, I was gonna say, and we didn't bonk. I shouldn't have said that. I jinxed myself. Okay, and then the triple zipper here is a little bit harder because you can't really see this last one. You just have to know where it is. Oh my God. Yeah, so unfortunately about plane, when you lose speed in plane, you lose speed like crazy fast, and you immediately, like, the plane drops like a rock. You'll notice too, this level. They changed some of the elements from N64. It used to say N64 everywhere, and now it says DS. Rareware loves the console they're developing for.
They also added a roof to this track in DS because they thought it was kind of weird that they had no roof in 64. Like, how are you able to breathe? But they fixed that.
It's fine. They never address it in Sonic games.
As far as other random changes like that go, they also melted the lake in Everfrost Peak in DS, which, considering the DS version came out 10 years later, is clearly a reference to global warming.
Oh my god, you're right. Alright, so we're heading into the final tracks of the game, so I want to ask before we go if there's any major updates we want to share, or any donations or anything.
So we are super lucky this marathon. Actually, almost every run has incentives that you can donate towards, so there's loads of stuff ranging from art to features of the runs like we did this time, or some really great trick showcases. So right now, when you donate in chat, you can actually be put into a raffle to win one of Wicked Midna's sets of Zelda ornaments. I can say these are absolutely stunning because I somehow have ended up with 2 sets of them, but they are absolutely beautiful. So absolutely get your donations in if you would like to be in with the chance of winning them. If you type !donates in chat, all the details for donations will come up there.
Thank you very much. So, here we are. This is Thunder Cove. This is a ridiculous car track. This is the second hardest car track, if you ask me. Mostly because of the beginning, and getting an optimal drift here at the end is also very difficult. It's super dependent on where you started your drift relative to the big tree. But this ending section here into the beginning is what makes this track so difficult. So you have this very, very long drift here. And we're going to take this all the way past this into here, and then we need to hit a triple zipper around this lake, which is not easy. We missed one, but we still got a double, which is cool. And we didn't bonk on any walls in the beginning, so that's a success if you ask me.
I would personally say Thunder Cove is one of the best tracks to learn drifting with. There's so
I could see that.
Space here with which you can experiment with doing drifts like this.
Yeah, these DS levels are way bigger than the N64 levels, just in terms of, like, sheer size. Like, they clearly were thinking about, like, all the vehicles inside of these levels, you know? Like... Alright, we want to take the final drift kind of tight there. Nice.
Could I jump in here to welcome on in our raiders?
Yo, Bewilderbeast.
Yeah, welcome on in everyone from Bewilderbeast stream. Thank you so much for the raid, Bewilderbeast. Welcome on in to Rejects and Friends Rapid Fire 2025. We're in the middle of a Diddy Kong Racing DS speedrun for all races by Brandino, with Leah on commentary. We are benefiting Planned Parenthood. If you want to find out a little bit more about what's going on, you can use !current in chat.
So this level, Meandering Mountain, is the hardest car track. I don't really think there's a close second for me personally, and it's because... So you might notice that although drifting has been the bread and butter of our car, we're not going to drift once in this level, and that should tell you that, like, there's no room to drift in this level. It's all about chaining boosts and getting extraordinarily tight turns down. This is a great song, though, because it's a remix of the classic Donkey Kong Country, I forget what this song is actually called, but like the Simian Swing or whatever it is. So this minecart tunnel at the end is my nightmare. It really is. Turning into it without bonking is very hard, and then getting into it and not bonking while you're inside of it and losing a ton of speed is also very hard, especially on that final drift out of the tunnel. And that tree, I love to bonk into that tree. This level was my nightmare. It is so hard to do everything correctly in this level.
Some people have speculated what the DS tracks would be like if they were ported to DK64. I can tell you that this track would not work with DK64 physics. This track was built with DS in mind.
Absolutely. This I can't imagine. The car would have a horrible time here in N64.
There is so much forced off-road here, it simply would not work on 64.
Oh, missed a zipper at the end, but that's okay, because we're right there. Alright, we have 2 tracks left, 2 pretty difficult ones. Strangled Shrine is our hover track for the DK Isles. This is one of the best songs in the game again. This is such a good song, but this is a hard track. And for those wondering, yes, I am blowing into the mic in order to start up the hovercraft. I have to do it every time. And yes, if I want a time trial with the hovercraft, I have to blow into the mic to start it every time I reset. That's just what happens, you know, if you want to run a DS game sometimes. This is a really cool quadruple boost section here. So there's 4 of these boosts we need to hit. Oh my, how did he miss that? Wow, I am calling Rareware, and I am complaining.
Doing hovercraft in the water is that normally it isn't much of an issue, but if the water is wavy, then that poses serious problems. This is one of the few tracks where the water's wavy, the other one being Pirate Lagoon. However, it is not as bad as in Pirate Lagoon, because Pirate Lagoon you've got to do a load of turns with zippers while dealing with that wavy water. You pretty much have to stay on top of it at all times, or you're screwed. This one is not so bad, because a lot of it is in straight lines, and although turning on the ground, or like on the water, is generally a bad thing in Hover, it isn't if you're in a boost state. That is the exception. So generally what you'll do is you'll do a bunch of speed preserving hops while you're facing whatever angle it happens to be, sometimes even totally backwards. And then when you touch a boost, you'll use that time to reorient yourself without sliding out of control. That's generally how it goes. You have plenty of chance to do that here.
Hover is very weird because you're constantly moving in this weird diagonal to your speed because of the way that you have to like shift the car. Alright, we have 1 track left, and then the run will be over. So, while we're giving this, I just want to shout out the Diddy Kong Racing community. If you've ever wanted to run this version or the N64 version, again, we have a wonderful, very loving and accepting community full of excellent gamers, and we're a very close-knit community. Last SGDQ 2024, we had 8 Diddy Kong Racing people there, and we didn't even have a run-in. Everybody just wanted to come hang with each other, and I think that's beautiful. Shout out to all of our wonderful DKR friends. Oh, nice! This zipper is really hard to hit. So Splashdown Pass here is, again, just... normally when we do runs, we actually do them in... We do reverse level order, so I start at Splashdown Pass, because these DK tracks are so difficult to get correctly. Splashdown Pass is very hard because Wizpig's handling and playing is so poor that a lot of these really weird canyon turns are just not, like, it's not helpful. He cannot do this properly, especially when we get towards the tunnel in here. So there's a zipper I would like to hit in this tunnel, but I'm not going to hold my breath because it is so... One, hitting it is hard, and then hitting it and getting a good angle so that you can leave the tunnel is also hard. Because Wizpig just can't turn. He can't redirect his speed very well in plane.
Interestingly, even if you graze against a wall, it doesn't actually completely kill your boost. So in the tunnel, in this lap, Brandino got the zipper, grazed against the wall for most of the boost, but pretty much at the last couple of frames, broke free from the wall and still had some boost left. So it just still sent him out at pretty much full speed. That would not work in N64.
No. In N64, if the plane hits a wall, it's over. Like, it's just... There's no other way to describe it. It's over.
Like 5 seconds time loss minimum.
Yeah, plane is one of the most punishing vehicles in the game. Alright, we're coming up on the... Once we cross the finish line, that'll be time. We're gonna come up on the finish line here soon. So, thank you guys so much for being here. I love Diddy Kong Racing, and I'm glad to share the DS version with so many wonderful folks. It's such a wonderful event, and that is time!
GG's.
GG's. That is Diddy Kong Racing DS all tracks. We're gonna let Wizpig do his victory lap for a second. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here for Diddy Kong Racing DS. People don't really play this game. I think I was the first new runner in several years when I joined, and we haven't really seen many runners join since I joined, which was several years ago. If you think you'd like to play this game, or maybe you'd even like to TAS it, join the Diddy Kong Racing community. We have a lot of wonderful people who can help you get going. And please check out dkr64.com for all your time trial needs. Leah, you got anything to shout out?
Brandino honestly did most of the shadows for me. Just shout out again to the DKR community, and I can also attest having met them in person at ESA last year, and hopefully at ESA Summer next year as well. Hint, hint. I can attest to them being like such a wonderfully accepting community as well, and just the best people to hang out with, whether it's during the day watching something together or just grinding time trials at 3 a.m.
Yeah. They're a very special group of people, and we're very lucky to be friends with them all. Shoutouts. Endless love and shoutouts to them. And I just want to say, please keep watching RAF. There's still some awesome runs left to go, and please keep donating. I know I am. I've got a lot of runs and incentives I want to see. So, thank you guys.
Excellent. And on that note, we actually do have a $15 donation from Nav, who says, "Go Brandino!" Sending good vibes from not so far away.
Yeah, she's downstairs with the cat. That's my girlfriend.
I love that. We say hello to the cat as well.
I'll make sure the cat gets extra pets for all you wonderful people.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Wonderful. So if there is nothing more everybody wants to say, that is a wrap on Brandino's All Races time trial run in Diddy Kong Racing DS. Huge well done to Brandino59, and thank you, Leah, as well on cons. Make sure you give them both a follow, everyone. Of course, we're all here watching our fantastic runners go fast and break some games, but we're also benefiting a really important cause in the Planned Parenthood Federation of America. Planned Parenthood states that your health is our highest priority, and we believe that your body is your own, which is an incredibly important mission that we're proud to support, now so more than ever. Please donate whatever you can by using !donate in chat. So next up is Cloud's Tears of the Kingdom All Dungeons run, and we will be back after a short break. We'll see you all in a bit.